What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to this edition of The Fuel. Um, Unfortunately, due to the circumstances that happened at the end of the Daytona 500 today, there will be no official review of the Daytona 500 for this year, so this is more of a debrief than a review because, out of respect for Ryan Newman, of course, um, I decided to make the executive decision to not do a review of the Daytona 500, even though we did receive word that he is, for the most part, okay. Um, I'll be talking more about that in a minute, but this will be officially a debrief of the Daytona 500, which means that I'm only going to be talking about a few snippets here and there, and not really going into a full depth review like I usually do here on the Fuel. Um, Basically, because of the seriousness of the incident that took place on the final lap of the Daytona 500 today. So out of respect for Ryan Newman, this will be a debrief and not an official review. So basically, what happened was this Daytona 500 was basically supposed to be like a big deal. There was a lot of hype surrounding it. President Trump was there, was the Grand Marshal, and gave the command to start engines. But then rain kind of delayed the race to today on Monday, and I didn't really get to see a majority of the race because I had to work today, of course, because I have a 9 to 5 job. But I did get to see the end of the race and how crash happy I got near the end. And then, of course, I saw the final lap, which saw Ryan Newman push to the lead, and it looked like he was going to win his second Daytona 500. But then Ryan Newman got a big push from Denny Hamlin, and it looked like it was going to be the finish to Talladega back in October all over again. Unfortunately, that's not the way it ended up. Newman tried to block Blaney's pass, but ended up getting turned off of the 12's bumper due to the block. Basically got turned over on his roof, and then he suffered tremendous impact to the driver's side and the roof by Corey LaJoie's number 32. There was nowhere for LaJoie to go in that situation. And we had been basically waiting on bated breath because Newman's car came to a halt, and there wasn't any word on his condition or anything of that nature. And it was obviously a very serious situation, and there wasn't any word from them whatsoever for quite some time. So then pretty much the entire NASCAR world was waiting, with bated breath, on the condition of Ryan Newman, and we were hoping that he was going to be okay because, I've been watching motorsports personally for 25 years now, and on 3 occasions I've seen a driver lose his life right before my eyes. 2001 Daytona 500, of course, with Dale Earnhardt. I saw that, and the impact it had on the sport afterwards. Dan Weldon's fatal crash, I saw that live, and I remember not being able to sleep that night because of that accident. And of course, even though I didn't see it live, I did see Justin Wilson's fatal impact with a piece of debris at Pocono. So, I've seen, those 3, and it had a pretty profound impact on me as a race fan. Because I'll be the first one to admit that I am not the biggest fan of Ryan Newman. I've made that clear in the past. Of course, Bristol night race last year, I tore him a new one after he basically cost Matt DiBenedetto the win. So, and I tore him a new one after that. So, I will be the first one to admit I am not the biggest Ryan Newman fan, but at the same time, this is the last thing I want to see, happen to a driver. Something like this that can cause serious injury. I mean, that's why I blew up like I did during the clash when, Eric Eastep basically said that wrecks were entertaining. And I said, well, what if someone was seriously injured? And lo and behold, we had something like this go down. And you know what the fucked up thing is? It was only a few days before that Ryan Newman basically put out a statement that him and his wife, Chrissy, I think that's her name, were officially separating. You know, and then this happens. You know. So, but thankfully, they officially released a statement. Roush Fenway Racing released a statement just past 10 o'clock that basically said that, according to Halifax Medical Center, Ryan Newman was considered in a serious condition, but his injuries are not considered life-threatening. So that is very good news. The extent of his injuries were not made publicly available at the moment. We'll probably find out more about that, you know, tomorrow when they do all kinds of. They're probably going to do some tests and, you know, stuff like that, X-rays, CAT scans, you know, whatever they need to do to figure out, you know, what type of injuries he has. Because you know he could have broken ribs, he could have head trauma from, you know, the driver's side impact and the roof impact. You know, we just don't know at the moment. And I don't think the doctors know either until they conduct some tests. So basically all we know at the moment is that he is in serious condition, but his injuries are not considered life-threatening. So that is very good news to hear. And of course, Denny Hamlin won his second straight Daytona 500 and his third overall. So he basically assured his spot in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think that's really what he is worried about tonight. And Ryan Blaney, I mean, he looked stressed as all hell. You know, when they were interviewing him down there, it's like he didn't even want to be there at the moment because of what happened. So, I mean, you can't really, and besides, you can't really put that on Ryan Blaney anyways, because, you know, the fact that, I mean, Newman, you know, he did what he had to do to try to keep Ryan Blaney behind him to win, you know, his second Daytona 500. You know, and there are some people, you know, doing knee-jerk reactions like, oh, they need to get rid of these speedways. People, shut up. They're not getting rid of the Daytona 500, so you might as well get off your damn high horse. Stop with the knee-jerk reactions. The safety features did their job. You know, Ryan Newman is still with us. Let's just be happy about that and save all the petty bullshit for another time, huh? Because I've been seeing that all over social media and it makes me fucking sick. That people, you know, still act like a bunch of fucking dickheads, you know, and let's not be happy that, you know, Ryan Newman is still with us. Huh? It's ridiculous. And now it's not the time for that stupid ass bullshit. But anywho, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. This is just going to be a brief video, a debrief of the Daytona 500. Basically because of the severity of it, there's not going to be a review of it, of the Daytona 500 this year, which does kind of suck. But in light of the circumstances, you know, there's really no point. And out of respect for Ryan Newman, I'm not going to officially review the Daytona 500 this year. So, thank you for watching this quote-unquote debrief of the Daytona 500. And certainly continue prayers to Ryan Newman for a speedy recovery. And hopefully we'll see him back at the track sometime soon, if at all. Because, again, we don't know the severity of his injuries, and hopefully they're not too serious for him to return to the track. So, huge sigh of relief from the NASCAR community at the very least. So, thank you very much for watching. I know this is not my usual fare on the fuel, but like I said, this is just too serious of a situation to you know, do an in-depth review or even have any background music or even, you know, do my usual plugs at the end of my videos. Now's not the time for that shit. Right now, we just need to keep Ryan Newman in our thoughts tonight and hope for him to have a speedy recovery. So, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully next week's race will be a lot more lighthearted. So, Ryan, I know I'm not the biggest fan of yours, but I certainly wish you a speedy recovery. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week.